And today, a new move by Wisconsin lawmakers is putting the state's Department of Justice department under scrutiny. Senate Republicans announcing a special oversight committee, and the Attorney General is pushing back. State Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu says the new oversight committee is designed to increase transparency and make sure the DOJ is operating within its authority. The committee currently includes 4 Republicans, with 2 additional seats to be filled by the Senate Minority Leader. Attorney General Josh Kaul, a Democrat, criticizing the move.
It's disappointing that at a time when our legislature could be working to help address affordability issues, rising healthcare costs, working to address internet crimes against children, or working to keep our water safe and clean to drink. Instead, they're engaged in a stunt like this.
Kaul says he's willing to discuss his office's record, but hopes the committee doesn't distract from policy work he considers more urgent. He also addressed child safety and grooming legislation moving through the state capitol.
There is legislation pending that would create a new crime of grooming, and if that passes, that will be a change to state law.
This as the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction faces more questions on how investigations into teachers accused of sexual misconduct are handled.
I think it's a good law, and I'm hopeful that it's adopted. If it is in place, that will, I think, make very clear that under current law that grooming is an offense that teachers should have their licenses removed for.
And as the legislature looks ahead to the new season, the Oversight Committee is expected to begin its work in the coming weeks. The announcement follows a year filled with legal challenges for the Department of Justice, involved in major lawsuits against the federal government.
Well, one of the themes that we've seen in these cases is that the Trump administration has taken a number of actions that would dismantle programs or eliminate funding for vital programs. And it's done so in ways that flagrantly violate the law.
Kaul says those legal fights are part of a broader effort by his office to protect Wisconsinites, including their data privacy and voter information under state law. Myron Construction